Say hey.
Oh, hi, Tegan. This is with the microphone on.
And then check
Can
and
you
see
hear
if
me
they
now?
can see the camera.
I can't
We
hear
gotta
her,
change
though.
the audio.
Yeah, we gotta change the audio.
He's super sick.
Yeah.
Oh no,
sorry.
oh no. Do you have wipes?
Yes, I do. Right over here. You could tell me and I could drive.
Yeah, go ahead. Just get the control panel up and
I got you. I'm not sick. Yep. Settings. Look at you. Device
Device
settings.
settings.
then the device.
Instead
it
of the
this one?
speaker,
Instead of the it's,
Oh, up here?
choose.
this little drop down, and then do.
Digital output. All right, girl, can you hear me now, baby?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, good, good.
You too.
We can hear you too now. Thank you, Thomas. We haven't started yet. We're waiting for one more person to get a quorum. I guess we could call the meeting to order and then have Tegan start or rearrange the order of things. What do you think, Madam President?
Yes, but I'm trying to pull up. Okay. We're gonna share the sharing. Well, wait, you need this? I do.
I need to take the background effects off too, don't I, so she can see in.
Well,
Yes.
is it all lowercase maybe?
Perfect. And then you hit apply. Yeah.
Sorry, I don't log into it, so.
Good job. Look at you. Navigating teams.
Guest Wi-Fi password?
K-12 guest.
Yes. You were, Michelle, yeah, I'm gonna give you kudos that you were close.
All right, let's see if
Did
we
you
have.
say guest?
K-12 guest. See, I need to always ask something smart.
Okay, let's see, Charles. Charles is unable to make the meeting today. All right. Victoria. I hear something happening. Yay. Hi, Chris. Oh,
Guy. WCSD. I got
for the record, he had to use the restroom. No.
Oh, yeah, it's on there.
You guys can do the exact same thing back to me, I promise.
Okay, now we're. I love that.
Okay, good. So I have to keep my mic on the whole time for her to hear?
no, just
There we go.
someone has to have it on.
Okay, cool. Happy New Year! So you said I don't need to leave it on?
Just as long as somebody's open, anybody speaking has to have an open mic
For her to hear, okay. I'm gonna turn off my mic, Tegan, but the next person to talk will be Madam President Garfinkel.
Alrighty, sounds good.
Okay, Tegan, can you hear us?
Yep, I can hear you guys.
All right, perfect. So we're gonna get started. Call this meeting to order at 4:06. I will turn it over to, actually, just kidding. Let's see.
Okay, just kidding. So we'll go get started with the roll call. Christine?
There we go. All right, John Adunco,
Here.
Michelle Anderson,
Present.
Christine Callagher, present. Joe Klein. All right. Melissa Dedmond. Kaylin Evans.
Here.
Lauren Garfinkel.
Here.
Crystal Herrera Woodley. Kendall Inskip.
Present.
Victoria Mason. All right. Landon Miller. Absent. Chris Morgan. Manny Ortiz.
Present.
Charles Pacias. Also absent. Ralph Rodriguez.
Here.
Dave Shintani. Absent. Jill Tolles. Also absent. And Tegan Richardson, I believe we have two. That would be great. All right, let's check it out here. I believe we have a quorum.
All right. So first and foremost, Brittany is not listening, but she'll see the recording. We have to give her a huge congratulations. We'll pass this around. New baby on board. That's Emma.
She still checks in,
So
just so
cute.
you know. Brittany's still checking in
Perfect.
occasionally, saying
We're
hello to
showing
everyone.
Brittany. So go ahead and pass
Everyone's
that down. And then, if we remember, Mr. Woodley was here during our last board meeting and was so excited to be voluntold by Miss Woodley or Miss Herrera Woodley to kind of talk to us about his board seat that he won. So we thought it'd be yes. So we thought it would be a good idea to sign a little card on behalf of Adeline. So I will go ahead and pass that around to everyone. I will include this pen, but if I do not get it back, just kidding. So go ahead and pass that. And all right, and then, well, we'll wait till Victoria gets here for the next little bullet that I have. And on that, let's go ahead and go to item 2.01. The approval of the minutes of November 21st, 2022. Do I have a motion to approve?
I'll move. Melissa Dedmond.
You got to turn your mic on, Melissa.
I'll move. Melissa Dedmond.
Perfect. Do I have a second?
I second. Kaylin Evans.
Awesome. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions?
Since we voted, I believe we have to ask if there's any edits and also if there's any public comment.
Okay. Any edits? Public comment? Miss Inskip?
No public comment.
Okay. Awesome. So the motion passes. Okay. And now I do need that pen, which is funny because I'm like, I took things off. If anyone has one, that'd be great. Great. I got it. She's a lot faster, you know? Ask and you shall receive. Okay. So let's see. All right. So now on to item 2.02, presentation discussion from Student Advisory Council Vice President Tegan Richardson. I'll turn it over to you.
Hi guys, Happy New Year. Hope the break suited everybody well.
Thank you, Jen.
So we just had our meeting, our most recent meeting on Tuesday, and it got shortened because we didn't want people to have to drive home in the snow and the icy, like bad road conditions. So we only had an hour-long meeting. And our December meeting, we had students, we were talking about mental health because it was during finals week. So we were talking about mental health of students because we wanted to give kind of a break to our overall topic because a lot of people weren't able to attend. So we came up with an idea of a school exchange pen pal of sorts. And so we're trying to put that into the mix. So basically we're going to start off with a very small group of high school students and they're going to, sign up and we're going to transfer it from school to school and it would be completely anonymous, but we're trying to put in place regulations and kind of a terms of service, if that makes sense. where they would have to agree to all these certain things, and we'd have to put sort of a review into place where someone would read the letter, and we'd also have to put people in the place that they could deliver the letters, and we'd have to find somebody who could accurately give out the letters. And what the council was saying last meeting, they were saying counselors would be like who they would pick. But yeah, so that's kind of what we've been working on. We just went over some new rules and what we were thinking would happen because we went from the original paper idea to an app and a paper version back to a paper version. So we went a little all over the place. But overall, I think it's a really good starting point and that we really made some good progress last meeting despite it only being an hour. So that's pretty much all I have right now.
Okay, thank you so much, Tegan. Does anyone have any questions for her? Comment?
Thank you, Tegan. I think that's pen pal idea is so cool. I had it when I was young. If there's anything we can do to help you from this end, please let us know, okay?
Of course. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. So now on to item 2.03, presentation discussion, I cannot talk today. Discussion and approval of the Education Alliance administrative cost increase from 5% to 8% to support operations, personnel, and services of the organization.
Madam President, I just received a text from Victoria Mason. I know we have a quorum and we can begin discussion on it. She should be here any moment. We can certainly switch around a little bit, or I can just move right into the presentation.
Let's go ahead and switch things around. Maybe go to item 2.04 for now, just because I think for voting, she should probably be here for that. Although she'll miss some of the Night of Pure Imagination, exciting stuff. But
That's what I was thinking too. Maybe I should go down to 2.05, talk about principal for a half day, maybe fill it in until she gets here. What's your
perfect.
pleasure?
And then what we can do is in that, hopefully she'll be here by the time that we can maybe segue into the board member spotlights and then go back that way.
Okay.
Is everyone in agreement with that? Okay, great. So item 2.05, board structure programs. Kendall, I'll let you take it away for Principal for Half Day Pie Champion Awards.
It has been quite the challenge to nail down a date on our superintendent's calendar for principal for a half day, which includes meet your match the night before at the chamber. We've locked in 2 dates with the chamber so far, and neither of them are going to work yet. It looks like we're going to move into May. Now, I want your discussion and your comments on this. We traditionally have it in February because it avoids testing, and it also allows principals to kind of reconnect with their partners in ed that they already have on the books, or get a new partner in ed. So I appreciate your input as far as in your feedback. If we go into May, it would be the 24th, which is where we have the wine and cheese party, and I'd have to check again with the chamber on that evening of availability. And then the 25th is a Thursday, and it would be at the school from whatever school opening time is to noon, and then we would have a lunch and a day in review. We've traditionally had it at Mac Auditorium, so I'd have to check with Renown and Crystal, both Christine and Crystal, on availability for that combination of dates. So I open the floor.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, what are we saying there's a couple options? We need to talk about the 2 options, or are we saying, what do we just
Not
think
that would
about
include the Dr. Enfield. And my thought is that to address 100 principals, 100 business execs, partners in ed, it'd be lovely to have her at least at the Meet Your Match.
Could she Zoom in, or could she do a recorded message?
I suppose that's an option.
'Cause
Yeah,
it seems like it's getting pretty late in May.
yeah. And that's actually the weekend before Memorial Day.
Yeah.
The other thing is the opportunity to present to be there during the Pie Champion Awards for 2023,
Yeah.
which we have quite a few nominations on the docket right now, so I wouldn't bring those dates to you till a little bit later. But anyway, Michelle, any thoughts?
Obviously, ideally, I think having the superintendent added is a big deal. I think that's a great opportunity to have her connect with people. We can definitely, I have obviously a videographer that we've worked with quite a bit, so if we needed to do a pre-recorded video message or have her zoom in, I think we obviously could do that. I think it leaves a little personal touch away from it, but if that is the last resort, we can absolutely do that.
And we couldn't Zoom because if she's busy on that night, she's busy. She won't be able to Zoom, you know what I'm saying? I mean, if she can't come personally, I'm pretty sure she's not available.
Yeah,
You know.
depends what she's doing, yeah.
All right, well, here's what I will do. I will go back to the drawing board. I will see if we can't, I'll talk to you, Michelle, about it. I mean, I talked to Susan's secretary, and it was just like, she's nationally known. She's actually speaking at conferences and training, and
Well,
Kayla?
and the legislative session obviously is playing probably the biggest role in this, and it's going to really hinder the availability. I understand too the idea of wanting to get it in earlier. I think the follow up with our partners are important, but I do agree. You know, having our superintendent availability, it's an important piece. That late in May, there is no issues with testing either. I mean, I guess it's a pretty, by then, the hustle and bustle is starting to wind down. So that might actually open up kind of more opportunities for those principals to engage with some of the students because, you know, you kind of have a lot of more project-based learning at that point. So that is another, you know, I guess if we're looking at pros and cons, that could be a possibility that we aren't thinking about for it being later in the year.
Kendall, would you be able to supply us a timeline of events throughout the year for us, just so we can kind of get a good snapshot visual of what's happening?
yes,
The only reason I'm asking is just because if we do it correctly, we can stay intentional with it and be able to even use it as something to push us into the next event or whatever we want to press or communicate.
that's excellent point, excellent point. I do see it as being almost a launch if it's that late, and really if it's good for schools and principals and district leaders. We are never for want for professionals and executives, fortunately for us. But I see it as end of the year being able to launch, you know, the next school year and our Teachers Warehouse events and our next fundraising event in November and that sort of thing. So I think it might not be as horrible as, you know, as long as we can get those locations.
Well,
Testing is done by then?
yeah.
So there's,
By the end of May, the testing window will be closed.
what happens the last 2 weeks if all the tests are done?
A lot of times I don't want to speak on behalf of every school and teacher, but a lot of it is wrapping up end of the year projects. So by that time, especially when the testing window, because it's so broken up, teachers are doing a lot of like small group work or self-directed projects to kind of keep the kids engaged while also starting to apply the skills they're learning. And so by that point, you're starting to get into like presentations of big end of the year projects or collaborative projects. You know, teachers are starting to engage a lot more in some of our, you know, maybe engineering, STEAM-based projects that allow the kids a little bit more freedom based on the fact that they just grinded through 6 weeks of straight testing. But to kind of piggyback on what John was saying, I think the importance of the event needs to be looked at not just for what it is then, but then also how can that springboard going forward. So the thought behind how we keep them connected prior to the following year, I think is really important. So I think if it's going to be later in the year, that's fine. It just needs to be more thoughtful, I think, on our end as to how we keep them engaged and use that to facilitate the beginning of the year.
I defer to you if that would be good for the teachers and a good experience for our community members, that'd be great. I think being before that holiday weekend would be the only other thing that, do we lose a lot of people because they're taking an early
What
vacation?
day is it of the week? It's not
A
Friday.
Wednesday night,
Okay,
a Wednesday
Wednesday,
evening for the
yeah.
wine and cheese mixer,
Mm-hmm.
and then the Thursday morning shadow, half day, and then lunch.
Again, I'm speak on behalf of everybody, but typically, if you were going to see people, it would be the Friday prior, and then they would just kind of couple up the Friday with the Monday and do a 4-day. So I think Wednesday and that Thursday morning, you're going to have everybody, most people there.
Yeah, and I mirror, this is Lauren, I mirror what everyone has said. I think it's imperative that Dr. Enfield's there. This being the first principal for half day she'll be involved with, and the first one we've had in 2 years. So it's kind of like 2-3-pronged reasons as to why. And then also having all the community members there, even if we talk about the success of Night of Pure Imagination, having that audience there, with them not focusing maybe so much on, our kids have to do school and everything, it actually might be beneficial to all parties. So,
And I do like it because it is a way to remind our community what's coming up, which Teachers Warehouse will be at the very beginning of school in August. And we'll have a date locked in for Evening of Pure Imagination, I imagine. And even though they won't necessarily be, it's a perfect time for partners in ed that are already existing at a school to see these projects and see the celebratory part of the end of the year. All right, well, then I will reach out to you, Christine, and Connor, and you, Crystal, as far as space and availability.
okay, and just for record, Victoria Mason has arrived, yay. No, what we ended up doing is moving to item 2.05, going over principal for half day and those bullets. Then we'll go back to 2.03 after these. Next, Teachers Warehouse Events 2023. Speaking of, while we're here.
Yes, the only other event that is a big event, we've moved to the beginning of school. We'd like to host it Friday, August 4th for Community Donation Day. That's where we have the media push out quite a bit of news, and we preload donations from 9 to 6 at the Teachers Warehouse. I would look to each of you to help us that day with potentially even some additional volunteers from Panasonic, from maybe Dean's Future Scholars, Envy Energy, just as we collect donations, and then have Teacher Shop Till You Drop on Thursday, August 10th. Now, and that's after school, 3 to 5:30. I have spoken with Office of School Leadership, the Chief Academic Officer, and they have professional development, but he didn't think it would go after school. So we like to usually host that Shop Till You Drop event after the normal Teachers Warehouse hours, and that would include music, raffle prizes, and then WEA has been very generous in hosting food up to a certain amount for teachers. And last time we hosted it was in November of last year, 2 years ago, I should say. 500 teachers, the most we've ever had at this event. So the Tuesday and Wednesday before the event, which would be on a Thursday afternoon, I need lots of volunteers to help us get all that product up on shelves. And McQueen football players, I need muscles.
All the football players.
And that is the biggest part of it. It is quite physical because, you're unloading pallets and you're almost splitting it because high school and middle school gets out earlier than elementary school after school. The first day of school, I believe, or the first day on contract for teachers is the 9th, right? That's the Tuesday before.
Wednesday?
So it would be the Tuesday, so that would be the 8th then. Is that it? Okay, good. What do you think, Kaylin? Any comments about timing? It's top of mind for most donors. They're calling us to donate backpacks. I thought we might even pair up with CIT Children in Transition to be a drop-off point for backpacks for students, as well as teacher supplies.
No, the timing sounds great. I think to get it started before students are in the building is most conducive, and it's just depending, as long as it's outside. I mean, the longest contract hour would be 4. So that's the latest that an elementary teacher would be contracted to be there. So as long as it was outside of that time, there wouldn't be any. So maybe giving them some transition time in terms of getting out there. So maybe like a 4:30, 3:34 start time. I don't know what time. What were you guys thinking in terms of start time?
Usually, the teacher's warehouse is open 3 to 5:30.
Mm-hmm.
And so we try to mirror that, just so teachers, it's like, hey, this is when it is open every, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So we do have quite a few people come in from like Gerlach and so forth. And we do split up the product. So we stock the product also, so that it's, for those teachers that come later, there's product still for them.
Yeah, no, that sounds great. Yeah.
I'm excited. All right. Well, as always, looking forward to that event. We'll have to go through and determine dignitaries. What is with D words today? I kick discussions in here to have as well, because that event, it's all these events. I'm so excited. That and principal for half day. It's all coming back. Things are normal again. Yay. Perfect. Okay. Well, then we'll move on to the next item. That is the 2023-24 board development. And Kendall, go ahead and turn that over to you.
That's super easy. That's just the first call. I want to get on each one of your calendars to talk about your goals for the year, serving on your leadership positions. We will have one vacancy as of June 30th, so we'll have to fill that position. So I take your ideas, and if you could just open up and allow me to sit down with you for a little bit to talk about kind of the positions that are available, and if you want to continue, which we love it when you want to continue, or if you have aspirations to join the exec, we'd love that too.
And just to clarify, it's one open seat for the main board of directors. No, okay, perfect. Okay. All right. Now for the board member spotlights. Crystal and Victoria. Are we going to Rochambeau? Who goes first, or what do you want to do? Okay, perfect.
Well, thank you guys for giving me the opportunity to share. I gave this a lot of thought because I think deep down, being a daughter of immigrants, education really meant a lot in my family. One, because it was the American dream. I admire my parents very much, and they got me to where I am today, and they instilled in me that no one's ever going to take education away from you. Wherever you're at, you just have to continue to pursue an education. So they worked hard, they worked multiple jobs, and they actually, whatever my scholarships didn't cover to pursue my undergrad, they covered. Because they told me that's the only thing that we can ever gift you that you can take with you. So I'm a true believer in education does really motivate and inspire people to pursue things that way outside of their reach, as long as they have a dream. And I'm a big advocate for the American dream. As a first-generation Latina to graduate from the University of Nevada, I got my degree in accounting and information systems, and I took it to myself to finish my degree, but then also pick up the next generation. So I really started to get involved with volunteering, working for the school district, in particular coaching, because not everybody thinks that, academics will take you far, because they're like, what am I going to do with math when I grow up? So I found something that kids really did enjoy, and then shared with them how education and all of these other subjects actually do apply in day-to-day life. And I was able to help them understand that in order to do some of these other things you like, sometimes you have to go through the math class. Sometimes I know reading is hard. English was my second language, so I was the person that would count, okay, which paragraph am I going to read before they call on you, right? And I was able to spend extra time with my students in particular and really help them even after like practice. Like I'm here to stay. So if you want to go through your math assignment, if you want to go through your English assignment, like I'm here for you. So to this day, I have students that reach out to me from years ago, like saying, hey, I finally got my degree, or hey, I went to trade school. I did something different. And it touches my heart in so many ways. One, because I have a lot to thank my parents for, and kids who may not have a traditional home who came to me for that help. I just think it's important work that we do every day. So I'm just so lucky to be a part of this group and appreciative of the opportunity to hear from you guys too. I think we're all in here in this room for the same reasons, and I'm a big supporter of education. So thanks.
Thank you, and we're grateful to have you. Victoria?
Well, my story's a little bit different. My single mother moved the two of us to Mexico City when I was 10. We lived in California, and she'd gone on vacation with her girlfriends for a week to Acapulco and met a boy on the beach and decided that it would be a really great adventure to move there. And as a little blonde American girl with no Spanish other than burrito, por favor, the adventure was mostly terrifying for me. A few weeks after arriving there, the decision was made to put me in a small private little school in the area so that I could learn to speak Spanish. No one at the school spoke any English, and they thought that it would be a good way for me to make friends. And let me assure you, Catholic schoolgirls in the 4th grade are less than friendly to an unusual freak who couldn't understand or speak to anyone and didn't look like them. My hair was pulled on a regular basis. My pale skin was mocked. I was called names like albino and piojo blanco, which translates loose to white lice. I don't know why. I failed to wear the school uniform at the length that was fashionably acceptable among them, and I wore the wrong shoes. Of course, my mother didn't have any idea what was happening because she was equally culturally, oblivious to where we were. She had no idea. And because I didn't want to disappoint her or her boyfriend, he was actually only a college kid from a prominent Catholic family, and he decided to secretly take on a 30-year-old divorcee with a child and did not tell his family for many years. So neither of them could rescue me from the bullying that went on. Children tend to persevere through adversity, though, and I quickly learned to speak the language and passionately immersed myself and began the transformation from a stupid little gringa to a culturally acceptable, fully relatable Mexican girl. So much so that my American self was locked in the closet for the remainder of my childhood until I returned to the United States some 20 years later. At that point, my transformation had to begin again. And old scars were reopened because now, on the flip side, I wasn't relatable to American people. My English had lost its fluidity, and my cultural thoughts were so different from those of the people of my age in my 20s that I encountered in Walnut Creek. So once again, I had to follow that path, and I persevered and found, you know, a new life in the United States. All of this, I think, made me extremely aware of and passionate about bullying. So when I had children of my own, I made sure that I was ever present in their school classrooms, got to know every teacher, and you know, I participated in every event and every field trip. My children were never allowed to go anywhere that I didn't know someone personally or was there myself. I failed to mention that when I arrived in Mexico and went to that first school, it wasn't only the children who bullied me. The teachers also made fun of me. And the lunch ladies made fun of me because I didn't know how to order my food. So it was an all-encompassing realization that our most vulnerable, our children, our innocent children, are at the mercy of people who really want to either do well for them, by them, or don't care. So it became, as I said, a real passion of mine to make sure that our educators and our school buildings, the entire staff in our schools, were aware of this and making sure that our children are not becoming victims. Because these things, these experiences follow us throughout the rest of our lives. So now that I am in a position at my work where I can be involved with our schools and our teachers and all of the children in our county, you know, in the school district, it's just such a pleasure and such a real gift. My children are grown now, so I don't need to follow them to school. But now I can help others, I think. And so that's why I think I'm so blessed to be able to follow our mission, which is uniting our community to eliminate clear pathways for every student's brightest future. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing, Victoria, and we're grateful to have you as well.
Thank you.
All right. Well, Michelle, are you excited to update us on Belcher County after all that?
Of course I get a follow-up after that. Mine is not quite so, it's heartwarming and exciting, but in a completely different way. So I'm excited to say, speaking of engagement with the community, we have a large number of engagement opportunities for our community members and for you as board members. So I'm just going to highlight a couple big things that are happening at the district. First, you will remember when Dr. Enfield came and spoke with us, she talked about her entry plan, and even though her first 6 months have passed, she is still continuing those community coffee chats. She's still meeting obviously with district staff and students, but for community coffee chats, we have another one that's this Friday and one that's in February. Instead of rattling on about the dates and having you guys take notes, if you go to washoeschools.net/entry plan and click under engagement opportunities, those community engagement and coffee chats are still listed there. So I just wanted to make sure that we had that and shared that with you guys. Another opportunity is on Monday, January 30th at 3 p.m. We are excited that we are going to have the official ribbon cutting for Swope Middle School. The reason why I think this is going to be a great opportunity, in addition to doing the ribbon cutting, they're going to be giving a tour of the new gym, the courts, the two-story classroom building, the new kitchen, the renovations. The reason why I think it's so exciting is it's another school that obviously was in session as that construction continued. And so I think it's a great opportunity if you have time to stop by again. This coming Monday at 3 o'clock is Swope Middle School ribbon cutting. I've mentioned to you guys before about the facility modernization plan. And I know we have someone on our illustrious board that has been part of that. The facility modernization plan is a long-range roadmap of improvements at schools across the district that will heighten the educational opportunities for all of our students, improve our diverse communities for many future generations. We had hoped to have some community forums starting this month. And I don't want to say we've put a pause because the work is still going. However, those community meetings are going to be bumped out a little bit. This is positive because we want to make sure that it coincides with the district's strategic plan. And so you will hear as those meetings start to occur. I will obviously keep you guys all in the loop. But if you wanted to learn more about the facility modernization plan, again, washoeschools.net/FMP. And you can get the latest and greatest on that. Another large undertaking is our strategic plan process, which is starting. That comprehensive strategic plan, I had mentioned it to a few of you. It is going to be kicking off for some of our planning team meetings this month. Community meetings will occur in March. I am finalizing the locations of those community meetings, and I'll share those with you guys when that happens. And that way you guys are able to participate. There are several different planning teams. There's a core planning team, there is an alignment team, and there's an instructional focus team. And so those invites went out last week. Kendall Inskip, as our illustrious executive director, is going to sit on one of those, but we definitely want all of you guys to participate, so I'll be sharing those dates with you. I will also say invites have been extended to, of course, our leaders at Truckee Meadows Community College, at the university, and several other of the agencies or the organizations that you represent. But it is going to be quite an extensive process. Like I said, there's probably about at least 20 different meetings. There's going to be 5 community engagement opportunities in person throughout our district, in addition to online. So stay tuned for more. We're going to be launching a web page that has that. And last but finally not least, and I hope you are all able to attend, we are doing our Dr. Enfield's first State of Education address, and that is going to be on Thursday, February 2nd at Marcy Hers Middle School. We are going to open doors at 4:30. If you attended last year's State of Ed, it was a little bit unique. My team and I came up with something a little bit different, and we're going to continue that this year. So you can come at 4:30 until 6 o'clock and kind of do some classroom tours. Each room is going to have a different subject that you could come in, learn and hear from students themselves, so student voice. We're going to have a capital projects room. We're going to have a multi-tiered system of support to learn about, obviously, our counseling and how we're supporting our students. There's going to be a teaching and learning room, which will have some of our academics, special education, any type of services for our students. And then, of course, we have, I think you guys have all read about it in the news before, Marcy Hers has some students that do a passion project. And so we're going to have students there presenting some of their passion projects. And then, of course, we'll have students with providing some sort of music performance. So hopefully we will see you guys there. At 4:30 to 6 is the tours, and then Dr. Enfield's speech will be from 6 to 6:30. If you aren't able to attend, we will also live stream. So like I said, lots of opportunities to get out, engage, and hopefully we get a great big turnout from our community.
What's the date again?
February 2nd, Thursday.
So the last message I sent you had some links and some other, all that information on that email, if you need it.
And that is all I have, President.
Perfect. Thank you so much for the updates. Moving right along, let's go back up to item 2.03, presentation, discussion, and approval of the Education Alliance administrative cost increase from 5% to 8% to support operations, personnel, and services of the organization. I hope you all had a chance to review, but if not, Kendall, can you take it away?
I did send you, I know it was kind of late last week, but we updated this document. Administrative costs proposal was reviewed at length at our exec meeting. We tweaked it a little bit to make it a little easier to read and follow, but the highlights primarily are around what the history has been. It's been about 20 years. We've collected 5% on those, mainly the Run for Education and events that do not have any restrictions as far as that funding. We never, obviously, they're added unless it's specifically in many private foundations. You do not pay administrative costs. Individual donations, that's not charged. In any event, there's a little bit of history on that form. I hope you all had I don't want to go through every single thing of it, but basically for 20 years, we've been collecting that amount. The top rationale for increasing our administrative costs from 5% to 8% is, one, it covers those overhead type costs, such as personnel, all the gift processing, all of our record keeping. We also have in that account development costs, and when I say development, it means business development. That is securing partners in ed, attending community events like WIN, like the Chamber's Alliance, and other kind of activities where staff can be there and participate, represent, and kind of market and provide awareness building of what we do. And the purpose of that is, one, to secure partners in ed, two, to build our board, three, to make sure we are represented in the community, like at EDON activities and so forth. Those fees also pay for our website, which is funded by you. That is, it is not a district website. It is privately funded, so we have costs affiliated with keeping our domain name, supporting it with technical services. KPS3 has helped us. We're in the process right now of transferring it over to WP Engine and paying for the cost to be under that server. KPS3 has asked us to move out of their hosting. We also have costs such as fees not paid by donors online. We actually have, there's something on there, there's an option to pay that if you want to, if you donate, but otherwise the Ed Alliance picks that cost up. It has also served as the flow-through account for our Levy Pro Sports, which I do have words in. I don't know what the deal is with them, Chris. I still can't seem to get through to them, but maybe I'll go knock on their door when the games start again. Any questions about kind of the history of what we've had in the past? So the proposal before you to vote today is to increase it from 5 to 8%. We have also utilized the funds toward our clerical support. It does not appear that the district's going to be able to pick up that extra 7.5 hours plus benefits in 2023-24. I mean, I've put it forward. I'm going to beg, grovel, whatever it takes, but with enrollment down and other considerations, we probably won't be able to get that funding. It's right around $18,000 to $20,000 on top of the 20 hours that they do pay. All my research showed that administrative costs are really representative of the financial health of an organization. And we're in really a good place because our biggest donor, the district, pays for 2.5 people. Many other nonprofits, and you'll see some of them listed here, they rely on administrative fees in order to pay for their staff and programs and costs of doing business. They're also called indirect costs or overhead costs. We're lucky because we're able to put a higher percentage of all of our fundraised funding right back to schools and students and teachers and programs like Teachers Warehouse that impact teachers directly. Evening of Pure Imagination, direct support to schools. We have the authority, the continued authority to modify or waive those fees. There are certain individual organizations that won't pay them. The City of Reno will pay them. We are in line with this proposal with other local and national benchmarks. And I also think that as our signature event grows, we'll be able to grow that amount to support our personnel and those costs. So I think it's time after 20 years. That's something that I hope you all had a chance, and I open it up for questions.
Kendall, I'll just well, thank you very much for supplying it, a lot of the research that went into it, and I appreciate that. And it got me going down a rabbit hole of just taking a look at things. My only question is, it's not necessarily, I think at the time is now to make this, to bring this up to speed on where it should be. But my question is, how did you get to the 8% as opposed to some of the research through some of the areas that you pointed us towards? They generally said between 10 and 25% is generally where you want to hit. But even with the increase to 8%, we're still below on what's being determined as the average or what is being expected nowadays. So is there a reason why we didn't go up to 10%, or what was kind of that? Can you just kind of walk me through that pathway?
That's such a great question. It's perfect. So in doing the research on a national level through some organizations that I'm involved in, Grant Professionals Association and the Association of Fundraising Professionals, it is indeed between 10 and 25, and in Northern Nevada, 10 and 15%. And that amount was brought up, has been brought up at our finance review teams when Eric was treasurer, when Melissa was treasurer. We've had this discussion for several years, and 8% I think is one that we came to simply because we don't have to have a certain percentage to pay for my salary, for the collaborative coordinator's position, and a secretarial position now, but that leads to a good point. We're not going to be able, we don't have the reserves to pay for our personnel secretary any longer. So the 8% was in conversation over the past few years through our finance review team, and in looking at kind of the fact that we don't have to raise $300,000 or $200,000, I think what it is for personnel currently. So I guess maybe, you know, it's something that I'm open to suggestions and conversation about that.
My only view on it is simply that, you know, we need to set ourselves up for success in the future. And for me, the less time we spend on having this as a conversation, the better off we'll be. And that's just my 2 cents. I'm just curious to see, is 8% enough to outlast the period of time over the course of even the next 3 years, or are we going to be back here talking about this on an annual basis when really, if we just look at it from a quality versus, you know, a cost savings, maybe that's something we just need to be more aware of.
I think that's a super, super good point. We don't want to come back over and over again. You're absolutely right.
Well, and I think the discussion around, you know, if there were to say hypothetically go up to 2%, right? And obviously you guys do a great job with accountability of where funds are going. And so that means, you know, if it were to go there, that might in turn provide more for reserves, right? To like have available if budgeting kind of projection-wise changes over the next 2 or 3 years, what happens with inflation, what happens with the economy locally. You know, I do appreciate, though, from just a fiscal standpoint, you and the financial team trying to keep it right. Like, you know, you probably could go for more, but you felt like this was a number that was sustainable for us. You know, but I agree with John. I don't think that there's anything wrong with at least making sure as much as possible that the 8% is going to carry through for the 3 years so that we're not back doing it again next year.
Our counterpoint, probably the closest nonprofit to what we do, is the Public Education Foundation in Southern Nevada, and they're at 10%.
Sorry, and with that 10%, is that with them, does Clark County do similar, provide similar services in terms of personnel? Like Washoe does?
They have, does Clark County pay for any of those positions?
Mm-mm. So they're at 10 though, but also understanding that they have to pay for some of the costs that Washoe County School District covers. Okay, I think it's just good for us to understand that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's why we arrived at the 8%. We supported pretty heavily from Washoe County School District. And we want as much money as we make as possible to go to the kids, ultimately. And I think where this is really becoming real is for the secretary. Like, that's the administrative costs that we have to be able to cover. And I think the 8% should allow us to cover that gap.
Not 100%, but it's costing us, and the analysis is on that first,
Right.
or second page, excuse me. The 7.5 hours, which is bringing it hours up to, so you can include benefits, is 18,707, and it's been right around 18 to 19 every year. So depending on, and we're gonna do an analysis of our event, where specifically, it could yield between 8 and 10%. I'm sorry, $8,000 and $10,000
You know,
of that 18.
We have it, the way we funded it and the way we continue to fund it, though, still is where is that time going? And we have taken money from Run for Ed or wherever else, you know, if that's where our admin is spending time. So that doesn't go away either, right? This is 8% that we know we kind of have a place to go to, and if we need more, we can decide to go get that from those other areas as a board. It's almost sort of symbolic in some ways for us.
And I think we're still in a relatively new period where we've transitioned our signature fundraising event, you know, to something that maybe a little bit different every year. I know we're talking about a similar theme and event for next year, but, you know, transitioning away from the run where we kind of had the costs down and expected, you know, had the costs expected. We knew what it was going to take to run the event. And, you know, as we got into sort of new territory with the signature events, I think we saw the ability to make more, but, you know, we're not quite at that point of such a known factor as we were with the run. So I think the 8% is a good starting point. And if we are back here in 3 years to maybe look for 10, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But given the current circumstances, and as mentioned, the finance team, the exec team sort of has been talking about this for a long time and has done a lot of research.
If we need to come back, we've got all the research already, so won't take you as long next time.
And tagging on what Melissa said about the run, attendance was going down and fundraising dollars were going down. When we go through the analysis for clearing for classrooms, things are up. I see it growing. That's very good for us.
Well, And unless there's further discussion, I mean, again, thank you for the time that the finance committee put into doing this, and, I appreciate John's, I think his discussion around just making sure sustainability for the organization is top. But if there's no further discussion, I'd like to move and make a motion to approve the increase from 5 to 8% for administrative costs.
I'll second.
A second?
Chris Morgan. Guess
Okay.
I'm supposed to say that, all right?
You're lucky
Yeah.
Okay, any further discussion? All in favor? Oh, do we have any public comment? Kendall?
No public comment.
Okay. Now all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes. All right. And now for the main event, which I am so excited because we kind of got a sneak peek during executive, which I know isn't fair, but it's really exciting. The item 2.04, presentation discussion update of the 2022-23 signature fundraising event and Caring for Classrooms Fund. Kendall, take it away.
I'm sure you poured over all of these numbers, and I want to thank Chris very much for going through this, simplifying kind of the flow of this document. It's a lot of information, so we're going to kind of walk through it. I'm not going to name off everything, but I do want you to stop me if you have questions or concerns at any point. There are extra handouts if you need them, and I've also posted up here. I kind of broke it down into 3 categories: the event, grants and funding, and account transfers, which were approved last year. The event was hugely successful. We currently have, if you start at the top of that list, event sponsorships, table, and ticket sales paid $93,588. That does not include sponsorships that I know 100% will be coming in, 12,500 of them, which brings us to another total that I put down here. That also includes donations the evening of, raffle proceeds, and silent auction proceeds, both of which I think we can impact. It was a brand spanking new effort for us to do silent auction and raffle proceeds, and I am so grateful to John and Kaylin and Melissa, everyone who sold raffle tickets and oversaw the silent auction, and Ralph for getting so many great donations, and Victoria. You all had a hand in that, and I'm so grateful. I think we can bump that up a little bit. I do. I think we can impact that a little bit without adding too much complication. We just kind of learn a little bit better on how to run those events. So in any event, that brings us to the gross event proceeds, $114,978.
Can I donate $22 to make it $100?
You can't. I know. I knew that would make some people crazy. I actually put like 19 cents in
Christine,
here.
please put in the notes that Victoria
For the record.
For the record.
Oh, Victoria, you've already done so much. If you recall, this board approved $25,000 in the spring of last year for this event at $20,000 and $5,000 for our principal for a day event. Total for the evening of pure imagination, this is gonna get me emotional, $12,526. That is the row, and I want to thank the row so much. The room was unbelievable, and I don't even know if they'll be able to do it again, but I have another date I'm gonna ask, and I always try very hard to secure as much in kind as possible and give that back and be reciprocal in some wonderful way. I did take the liberty of putting 8% admin fees in here. I know it was a little presumptuous of me, but I thought I would put that in there. And that yields about $8,200 for the event. That does not include any of the grants that are restricted, any of the individual donations that were received afterwards through our online holiday website, and an anonymous field trip grant that I got. So that brings us to $94,256 as the subtotal. I wrote a grant last year for field trips, and got $15,000. Thanks to Crystal and Annie Zucker sitting with Suzanne Hundry and her husband Daryl, who was an educator at one point. They donated $10,007 from that event. Huge toward teacher appreciation. So it is restricted. The next is received and unrestricted. We wrote a grant to NV Energy for $20,000 and got $15,000. It is for Caring for Classrooms overall. This is the biggest NV Energy grant we've ever gotten in the 9 years I've been running this. Isn't that great? So they believe in the purpose of Caring for Classrooms. And then over the last December holidays, we received $6,100 from different individuals, from the laptop drive and from Healing Through Health, and people who. A brand new donor who is a adjunct professor of geology at the university, who saw our website and wanted to donate to kids, and I talked to him while he was hiking on Rattlesnake Mountain over the holiday, and he was giving to Donors Choose, which I thought was kind of interesting. It's another national, and he was hounded with phone calls, and a large percentage again was charged to the Donors Choose, so not all of 100% of his gift was given to students and the teachers. So he decided to come with the Ed Alliance, and that was $3,000 right there. So that brings us to the subtotal of grants and funding, $46,812 and a few cents. Then we go down to, so that is $141,068, includes the payables. Our average with the run over the 6 years that I did it, and even before that, was $99,000. So we've already exceeded our highest, goal at the run right here. The third section here, account transfers, again, we moved the funding from the laptop drive to be restricted to technology. We moved Healing Through Health funding. Part of it restricted into the student health and wellness. We haven't abandoned the goal of the run. Student health and wellness is still a big need. So we are still giving that to the schools, and principals, again, can customize where they need that money. So the subtotal for the account transfers was $75,350. That includes what we approved for the event itself, as well as talking to Rayleigh's, Renown, and Panasonic to see if they'll consider moving their funding into the unrestricted column. And that was approved. So if we spend $5,000 on principal for a day, which I already have a sponsor for that, I don't think so. Our money at 120 is $211,419. Isn't that great? So, one of the things I want to mention also is the Microsoft funding that we presented to Microsoft employees for their employee give was for Caring for Classrooms. Their estimate was, I think David Taylor's estimate was $14,000, and it was actually $16,500. So we saw some extra funding there from their employees. I am currently in the throes of writing 3 additional grants I want to present to the cities of Reno to see if our council members will donate. They did for the run. And I don't see us going over maybe $1,500 for principal for a day. So we have $5,000 already. So the decisions to make, and I'm not bringing this to you for a decision at this time. I will bring it to you to exec on February 23rd and March 13th, our board. But the decision will basically be, and that's up for your discussion as well, during this process is how much do we want to distribute to schools? Should we hold some apart for, we should for the event in November. Obviously, we have costs that we have to pay for. Currently, the total unrestricted in the Caring for Classrooms is $177,356. The restricted is $34,063. That's our 211,400 total. When I say restricted, that means, again, that field trip grant is gonna be under that educational excursions. So when schools apply for it, and if there's a component or portion that they want for field trips or for student health and wellness, it will come out of those pots. Specifically, because I need to report back to our donor and be very transparent that their funding went toward what they gave it to us for. I am working on a Caring for Classrooms assembly in early April after spring break. And I've already ran a date by the row that she's penciled in, and I just need to get with you and Boston and Jennifer and see if we can get that on the books, November 18th. It's the same Saturday. So I open for your conversation.
On that date, did we happen to check if there's a football game?
On the 18th?
On the 18th? Do we know? Can we know that far in advance?
I don't know if we'll know that far in advance, and Dave Shintani's not here.
Because I feel like we had a lot of people that were.
Couldn't come because of the football game.
Right. Just food for thought. I like the date. I mean, I think it's good timing, but just a
And we sold out so fast, so we had money on the budget for boosts. I didn't get to send out any individual invitees, like to any of our donors that were individual. I see us growing, maybe what we do is we go to, tables of 10 and, maybe. Bigger room or, something that we can actually, because I didn't even let you all invite all your best friends. I didn't even get to invite my best friends. But yeah, I see us growing. I think we have so many opportunities to.
Just wanted to say thank you to everybody and congratulations. That's awesome. And I look forward to in, February and March. I think the fun part is how do we get to spend it, right? That's a cool discussion to have. So I look forward to that. Thank you.
Victoria, I have a question for you. On the topic of expanding that event, how big can we go?
Well,
I'm just going to throw it out there. Everyone's thinking it.
Yeah, we have a few 100,000 square feet of event space available. So it wouldn't, if we want to go big, it wouldn't necessarily be in that same room, but we could move over to the Silver Legacy, or my goal is for us eventually to move into the Reno Ballroom.
Love that. Talking occupancy, how many people would that?
In the Reno Ballroom?
Well, not that's hey, if that's next
Later.
year, then I'm here for it, but later on.
In the Silver Legacy Grand Exposition Hall, 1,200, 1,500?
With 8 tops.
Yep.
Awesome.
Yeah.
It's good to know.
But the good thing about that is that we can adjust close with a limited time up to the event. So we can offer as many seats as we want to offer. If they don't sell, we just scale down the size of the space and the number of tables that they set up and the amount of food they prepare. And that's all within 72 hours we can manage that. So I feel like we should reach for the sky, sell as many tables and as many seats or tickets as we can, hopefully mostly tables.
Yes.
And then we adjust accordingly as far as the space.
And we raised at this event, gross 114.9 with 240 people. Yeah, a lot of room for growth.
Victoria, how does that work? Because it was actually, we could probably even used a little bit of room this time because it got a little crowded around the bar. Is it more just how many tables you set up, or can you move to a different space? Because It can be bad if it's too much space, like it feels.
Correct, you don't want to make the space feel empty.
Yeah,
The space that we were in actually is only a quarter of what that space allows for.
Right.
So those walls all open up.
right, yeah.
So we could expand easily there. We will also make sure that we have more bars
Yeah.
so that people aren't lining up at just one bar. We'll adjust those things, those details are easily adjustable. But the space, we can grow as we go. We gave our catering team an estimate of how many people we expected, and so that's what they worked with.
Yeah.
But if we, give them a bigger number, obviously, our space will be bigger. But then when we find out exactly what our numbers are, they will adjust.
And literally, this is the first time we've ever done anything like this. There were so many unknowns and questions, and now I just feel super confident that we can really grow.
And no one was freezing at 4 a.m. setting up the run event.
Bingo.
No, they had what was the coffee? Who donated coffee? Wasn't the kids? No, was it? At the run. Remember the station, the coffee station? Wasn't it the ROTC kids that did that? They handed-
That was the very important volunteer area.
Yes.
That was definitely McDonald's.
Was it? Okay.
And
McDonald's.
I love a good sausage egg McDonald's. Do miss that part.
Maybe we'll ask a row if they'll
The
add it.
stack of McDonald's coupons that would come from it.
Those are fun.
Would go back to
There's so much
Panasonic.
more room. There's so many more ideas we can really run with now that we've kind of gotten our feet wet. I mean, I was nervous about a lot of things. I feel like we could up the raffle and the silent auction just by advertising it more and maybe opening it up for bids before the event.
That is my question, as far as advertising. Do we have a time frame that we're thinking as far as putting it out there in the public and beginning to push information about the event? Because I think the longer we do, the more people will get interested. I see events coming across my desk that people are asking for donations now for events in July.
I would say get started as soon as possible. And in fact, after this meeting, I wanted to send, I have a draft ready to go to you and Faustin and Donald, based on your guidance with that, and Jennifer. And again, like what John and Kaylin were talking about, utilizing our events to launch and to announce and to share with our community about, and the assembly, even when we have the school assembly where we invite all of our donors to come. And, we did that with Healing Through Health, and it was just, we were in and out, didn't take too much time, but it was such a great event, with our students and teachers, and I've already reached out to a school.
Victoria, do you think that the date for this year's event, I would say this year's event, will that possibly be locked in like the next couple of weeks, do you think?
I can try to lock it in this week, yeah.
Okay. Because I think, Kendall, just thinking ahead, if we kind of bring that date to executive board and then kind of map a game plan from there of what we're thinking in terms of advertisings and working with Jeff Foss, because I know you got a lot of really great video from that, and working on a timeline of teasers for that and putting together a plan to present to the board for the next meeting in March, I think would be good. So.
Got it.
Important for me to be able to lock that in will be to get a loose idea of how many guests we can expect, so that they can book the space. Okay. So if we did 240 people this year, can we say 500?
Let's do it. Let's. Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm not
Can we
sure.
hold you to that, like maybe add a little more room at the last minute still?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Okay,
Definitely. With those numbers, definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, if we were at 1,200, I'd say,
okay, yeah.
but yes.
Cool.
Yeah. And I'm wondering if we do have a date locked in around February, March timeframe, have we sent out any thank you cards yet? Because we can put a save the date for the next event and see if there's interest now. So you start getting a head count for this upcoming event.
Love that idea.
Let me try
We've
to lock
already
in a
sent
date.
thank yous to everyone that other than our the ones we haven't received yet. But I'm not opposed to printing in a postcard and sending them out to our, and emailing and mailing
Right.
with the fun logo and the fun idea and so forth. Now that we have pictures and we kind of know what it looked like and have a better idea of, what the opportunities are, I'd love to do that.
All right. Well, any more discussion? No, we're all excited. Before we jump to any public comment, raise your hand if you have a birthday tomorrow. Happy birthday. Happy early birthday to Victoria. Thank you. I know. That's why I said raise your hand. I looked at both of you. Yeah, that's why I said raise your hand. Everyone raise your hand except for, I'm just kidding. On that note, do we have any public comment? All right. That was the fun part, of raise your hand, then you both see you both have birthdays. There's always method to my madness.
No public comment. Oh, yes, there is public comment. Kaylin Evans.
Hi, thank you. My name's Kaylin Evans. I was just letting you guys know because I wanted to help promote an event that we are putting on in conjunction with our local admin association, classified support staff association, and the local association. And it kind of goes a little bit on our theme of our event, but it is it's called the Believe in Education event. And I've got a couple flyers here that I wanted to give out, and I can provide all of this to you guys electronically as well. Good. Okay, I got extra time. Awesome. So for this event, the focus of it, it's really about a call to action for the community. Just understanding kind of the dynamics that we are in Washoe County. Nevada is 47th in per pupil funding. We're 50th in school finance, which accounts for your level of funding along with the effort, they call it, and how equitable funding is distributed. We're the only state in the country that received all Fs in our funding measures. So we're dead last in that regard. We have some of the largest class sizes in the entire country. And Washoe County is the lowest funded school district in the state of Nevada. We actually rank in the bottom 5% of districts funded across the country. With all the work that we obviously are doing and trying to, bring in the private sector, our education system is grossly underfunded here in Washoe County and across the state of Nevada. And so this event is really to bring not only awareness, but a call to action by the community. Again, it's not only the WEA, but we have partnered with our local administrators union, our classified staff, and the state association. Our superintendent, Dr. Enfield, will be speaking at the event along with school board president Beth Smith. We've already got confirmation from Trustee Woodley, Trustee Nicolette, Trustee Mayberry, Trustee Rodriguez, Trustee Westlake, that they're all going to attend and they're helping promote the event. Any capacity that you all have to get the message out to your people and using your platforms would be greatly appreciated. I want to be very clear about the event. We're keeping a very narrow lane with this because, especially with our superintendent being involved, there is nothing, this isn't a partisan event. This isn't about specific legislation or a political party. This is about the issues of funding, right? And so this is something that we believe crosses political boundaries because we can all agree that education in Nevada, that we need to do better by that. And so that's the whole focus of this. It's about turning out the community. You all have platforms, you all have organizations that you can help spread the message. It's going to be downtown Reno City Plaza at the Believe sign. That's where we got the Believe in Education idea. Again, I have some flyers that I'll kind of pass out, but I have some in Spanish as well. And on these flyers, it talks about some of the statistics, but also how addressing those statistics can directly benefit our students and our community. So helping get this out there, we need to turn out thousands of people, again, on February 11th. So hopefully all the people watching this board meeting will also be able to tune in. So we really appreciate your guys' support in this. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Well, we will move into closing items. Let's see. The next meeting is March 13th at AACT. We'll also get a tour of the Teachers Warehouse. If you have not seen it before, it is amazing. I just got a flashback of the Panasonic team and I cleaning, getting ready for the Shop Till You Drop event there. And Dave Bianca and I cleaning off binders. So Kendall, if you need help with any of that, got us here to get that ready. Okay, well, let's go ahead and adjourn. It is, I can't see, 5:27. I'm like, I can't see. Perfect. I'm not doing this.
Thanks, Tegan. Have a great rest of the week.